Hello, welcome back to Sex on the Edge with Jen and Hen. I am Jennifer Reeves.
I'm Hendrik Scott, and we are marriage family therapists as well as sex therapists here today to talk to you about
Sex. Always talking about sex.
Yeah.
Our shtick is to give you the real deal in a fun and informative way.
A researched way.
Yeah.
Fun way.
Fun way. So licensed marriage and family therapists and certified sex therapists are our creds. And we work outside of in Houston for Houston Relationship Therapy, so you can always call and make appointments with us. Today we are going to talk about wait a second. I know what I wanted to say. Y'all, thank you so much for the love so far. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Keep it coming. Definitely beyond our wildest imaginations. And speaking of imaginations, that wasn't rehearsed at all. Today we are talking about some fantasies.
Sexual fantasies.
Well, I mean, are there other kinds?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I have the fantasy of, my man like doing the dishes.
Oh my gosh. But no, like sci-fi.
Oh,
like fantasy,
unicorns.
Fantasy is a whole genre.
Too.
Yeah. So
vampires, unicorns.
Although that goes into sexual fantasies as well.
I mean, yeah, it's true. So, so Hendrix, define fantasy for us.
Fantasy. Well, I want to start with what it's not.
Oh.
Ooh.
What is it? What is it not?
Do tell.
Do tell. Pray tell. We're all on the edge of our seats.
Well, okay. So this is where our clients kind of come in with a negative view of sexual fantasies. Like they come in and are like, oh my God, my spouse or partner is fantasizing about XYZ. Oh my God. Yeah. So part of this comes from our social context. I found this wonderful article. What was the name of it? 1984 Sexual Fantasies. What are their hidden meanings at the New York Times. It was fantastic. It's a fantastic read.
1984.
But yeah, it really
How
hits
things different back then.
Exactly.
I mean, I was only 2, so I don't really remember.
Yeah, but it was a negative view, and basically the whole thing kind of talks about. It says sexual fantasies are a clinical barometer.
Ooh.
To find what was it? Oh, to look for the difficulties that a person has with intimacy. So think about that, how it's been passed down to us generationally, and like what our parents thought, what our grandparents thought. Of course, we would think.
Gosh, that's not how we think of fantasies today.
At all.
At all.
At all.
At all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah.
No. Fantasies are healthy.
Yes. Or they would look at it to your partner. So the research in this, it was like, well, men have to fantasize about Raquel Welch because the women are critical and unaccepting of their sexual advances. I mean, maybe, but also lesbians weren't really out then. So, and then the women, they were like, well, they're fantasizing to disassociate out of sex. Because
that's so not true.
I know. And it was like, it was all really bad, negative things. Wow. But the article is pretty fascinating. Some of it was interesting. And they actually mentioned sex therapists in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of that could have been talked about in our bad sex advice segment that we like doing.
Really,
that's like that's not just that. That's a lot of inaccurate information. So how has research changed with that? What did you find?
Well,
wow.
Let me tell you.
Lay it on me.
It's just our friggin' imaginations. I don't know. Like
so like speaking of imagination.
I mean, it's a bunch of things. It's just how we escape. It's how we cope but sometimes. Not
necessarily escaping from the relationship.
Yeah,
it's
like
just
from life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
What? Okay, well then when you say that though, like that makes me think of like daydreaming. Is there a difference?
Is there? I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. There's a difference between night dreaming, which we'll talk about in a second, but daydreaming, I don't know. I think sometimes the mind just wanders. But when it comes to like sexual fantasies, I don't know that I would consider like a sexual fantasy so much as a daydream as opposed to sometimes it's something that we want to try. Sometimes it actually isn't. And that's the thing about it is I think I think there are certain fantasies that people they have, and it freaks people out because they think, oh my god, do I want to do this?
I want to do this so bad, but no, you really don't.
not always.
Yeah, not always.
Sometimes you do. Although there's a fantastic quote, like, I love this movie called Life of David Gale. You ever seen it?
My gosh, like a forever ago. Yeah.
The main character, Kevin Spacey, plays a philosophy professor.
Is he in jail?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. Oh, it's all coming back to me.
Yeah. He's in jail. But one of the things in one of the classes that he's teaching, he says the line that if you were to get a fantasy, you can't want it again. I don't think that's true, but it's still a very interesting line. Like the meaning. Fantasies are meant to remain fantasies. It's kind of like, so, and I have heard this to a certain extent, right? Like when people fantasize, which is a very common fantasy about multiple partners or threesomes. And when they actually have a threesome, it's oftentimes not as great as they thought it was going to be in their mind. It can get kind of awkward. Where does your hand go? What happens now? And I would say that it's
also like handling expectations for those, which is what I do with my clients. I prep them for threesomes. Correct.
Like if there's a fantasy that you actually want to act out on, not act out on, that makes it sound like a bad thing, but act on.
Yeah.
Then I think that you would want to talk about expectations and make sure that you have realistic ones and not like, oh my god, this is going to be mind-blowing and the best sex ever the very first time.
Yeah.
Just like your very first time ever having sex is always going to be mind-blowing and there's not going to be any issues and it's going to feel so good. No.
Yeah.
Not for most people. There are a few people, I don't know what the percentage breakdown is, but some people, their first time is really great. The vast majority of people, it's actually not. Anyway.
Just like sexual experience to begin with isn't really up there on the positive. It's more awkward and where does this go?
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so
it can be like triggered accidentally. They can come from memories. They can come from like all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
But also back to what it's not. What did you say earlier? They're not fetishes.
They're not fetishes.
Sexual fantasies are not fetishes.
Yeah. What's a fetish? Yeah. What is a fetish?
A fetish is the act of. You're actually acting on a fantasy.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay,
how would you define it?
I think that sounds pretty good, but the way that comes out though, and I'm really curious. This is an interesting take. Is if once you've acted on a fantasy, is it no longer a fantasy?
I don't know.
Or does it remain a fantasy that you fantasize about?
Well, then I guess it turns into fetish and then you're proactive about it. So the action makes it turn into fetish versus fantasy. Just you're in your mind thinking about it.
Yeah.
In a sexual manner.
Okay. I can see that. I don't know though. I think that you can still have fantasies about things that you have acted on. But I think fetish takes it to the more like you do it on a more regular basis.
Yeah, like the proactive piece of it.
The proactive piece of it, I think, is what would make it turn into a fetish versus just a fantasy. Because I think, like, if you have somebody that you're like, oh, like, I love being tied up once in a while. Is that a fetish? Or is that like, I like the fantasy of it and I like to act out on that fantasy once in a while?
Yeah, I would say that's fantasy of it.
I would too.
I feel like you know it when you see it. Like I know my clients whenever they're in fetish, they're lifers.
Yeah.
They're
like FetLife.
FetLife, yes, FetLife. For those of you who don't know, FetLife is for the BDSM community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is a social media thing. Mm-hmm. And there are pictures on there.
there are pictures.
So it's definitely not as censored.
Yeah.
As far as photos and content.
Well, because
in the sexual realm.
I mean, they're about not censoring sexual fantasies in general. They've gotten in trouble for some things, and there's like debate about that. But again, we're not here to talk about fetishes, so we'll get on that on another episode.
Yeah, stay around.
Oh, what else? It's not a sex dream.
Yeah, sex dream. So the difference between a sex dream and a fantasy is that in all reality, a dream is not really something that you have conscious control over.
None.
But a fantasy, despite the fact that it can start out as like potentially like a daydreaming, you're just sitting around and all of a sudden decide you want to fantasize about something, you do actually have conscious control over it. You can stop the fantasy and move on to other things, or you can exert more control over, well, now I want to do this in my fantasy, or I'm gonna bend him over that way, or I'm going to spank her with this. You know, you have a lot more control over how the fantasy is going to play out versus a dream. You don't. So
I also feel like there's people who love having the control of sexual fantasy and people who don't like having the control of like they let their mind run because they're just tired of having to hold it in all the time. Like we have social pressure to act a certain way, think a certain way, be a certain way. So in your mind, you're let loose and free to do whatever you want.
Yes. What's the let loose and fancy free, or footloose and fancy free?
If she breaks out into the Footloose song,
I thought about it.
I'm gonna have to leave again.
I was this close.
I'm gonna have to leave again.
I didn't do it. There was another song I almost broke out into earlier, but it will happen, Hendrix. I will break out into song.
I know. I'll
You're
disassociate.
Lucky I don't get up here and do an Irish jig. Like, I could do that for you.
Oh my gosh. But sexual fantasies do sometimes meet our psychological needs. Sometimes we are missing something. Sometimes we are missing excitement, or we love novelty. We're humans. We love novelty.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's that piece of, and we will definitely talk about this again and I'm sure multiple times, but mating in captivity, right? And that idea that
our goddess Esther Perel.
Yes, she is a goddess. She is amazing. But she says that, you know, on the one hand, as humans, we desire things that are safe and secure.
Yes.
But on the other hand, we like new things and and change. And so how do you have novelty in something that is safe and secure? And so she talks about, you know, the idea of like introducing the third, and that can be anywhere from a third person to role play to a new toy to you know, a new way of masturbating. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can play with the idea of the third.
Maybe we'll talk about that book one. Somebody let us know.
Oh, we will eventually, I'm sure, because it'll be on there.
Also, our fantasies evolve. They're not static. Like we don't stagnant. What word am I like? Stagnant.
Yeah, that works. Yeah, they evolve, they change.
Partners don't have to be so worried by the fantasies of just like, you know, they might, like 5 years from now, they might be doing a whole other thing. But that also might give some people anxiety. So I don't know.
Right. Well, and the other thing to remember, we will come back and we'll talk a little bit more about our book of the month.
Woo!
And as we talk about that, we will talk more specifically today. We're talking about fantasies today, but we're talking specifically about people that we fantasize today. So, you know, we'll give you some stats on all of that and some fun information. And so we'll talk about that when we come back. We'll introduce
who we are and what we fantasize about.
Yeah, who we are, what we fantasize about. Yeah. And people, how certain people, which is not very common, but we'll talk about that as we talk about the book in just a few minutes. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Are you a small business owner concerned about the downturn in the economy? Top business leaders like Mattress Mac and Warren Buffett will tell you that now is the time to promote your business more than ever. People need your services. Your business needs an edge. Learn about special advertising packages for small businesses right here on Edge Radio. Find out more, give us a call at 281-744-0446. That's 281-744-0446. Edge, because truth still matters.
And we are back here to talk to you about our book of the month.
Yep. Back on Sex on the Edge with Jen and Hin.
Okay, I will say, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm a little perturbed.
Why?
That we didn't get our logo on a sticker so we could, like Oprah.
Honey, we are not Oprah level yet.
We could be.
Yet, it's that one little word. But you know what? That one little word makes all the difference.
Could be. We might. Not yet. Anyway, tell me what you want. Our book.
I'll tell you what I want.
Of
what
the
I really,
month.
really want.
Yeah, there we go.
Nice.
There we go. He's got it.
Ooh.
By Justin Lay Miller.
Yeah.
And that is the conclusion to what Jen and I have come, is how to pronounce his last name. We talk about him often. He's huge in our community, huge in the psychological community.
Yeah.
He did the largest survey of adult Americans about their sexual lives that's ever been done. Like over 4,000, more than Kinsey.
Oh. So why do you recommend this? You know, what is it about this book that we recommend?
Let me tell you.
Tell me.
All right.
Well,
what he did is inclusive. It goes through, he goes right through heterosexual females, males, gay, men, women, bi.
Wow.
He goes through a lot. He missed some stuff, but that's not what we're here to talk about. It was also done in 2015, so I would like people to remember that, because some of the data, I would bet, has changed
already.
Yeah. Because we're like, since 2015, we've had gay marriage, we've had body positivity movement, Me Too movement, Black Lives Matter movement. We've had,
that's so true.
We've turned upside down in a good way.
Yeah.
Just the research isn't here to necessarily reflect all of that.
Yeah.
But it's a good insight into Americans and where we are. And
yeah. Okay. Why do you think people should read it?
Knowledge, because knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power. Eat that golden fruit, pomegranate, apple, whatever one that you fit, depending on.
But it's interesting. Whatever. People always come into sessions going, well, and then they'll say something that is inaccurate, and then as a therapist, it's like, you don't really correct clients, and then you're like, that's not what the research says, and then you can't get in a battle with them. So it'll help. Sometimes. I mean, if it would benefit them knowing that it is another way.
Right.
Yeah. So this will help you maybe flush out some inaccuracies that you may have about society as a whole.
Yeah.
Or about your partner, about the way things should look. People have a way that they think like we should act or look, and it's anyway.
Yeah.
Why do you think they should read the book?
I agree with you.
Same.
Sweet. I agree
Nailed
with Hendrix. I don't always.
Yeah.
But this time I do. Knowledge is power. I think, if I remember correctly, it does have some. So he goes into a little bit about like what some common fantasies are, since we're talking about fantasies today. So he goes into what some common fantasies are, and I believe he gives a little bit of advice on how to go about acting on those fantasies if it's something that you decide you want to act on.
Yeah.
So I think that is a very helpful piece of the book as well. So there's the information, and there's kind of the stats that he found and everything else that I think is fantastic. But it goes into a little bit more. So it does have a little bit of a self-help piece to it.
Yeah.
Which is
so today we only picked a few segments. We're not going to read the whole damn book to you. You can read it on your own. Thank you.
It may come back at a future time as we talk about different kinds of fantasies. But today. I mean, so okay, y'all. 2020 was a rough year. Rough, right? Rough year. And I know we're all effing tired of hearing about politics.
Yes.
But politics and sex is kind of fun.
Way fun.
So we're going to put a new spin on it in honor of 2021. We're bringing in a new
new president.
Yeah.
So why not go in a little bit political on sexual fantasies?
Yeah. So and actually this is something that is in the book. This is very interesting. This is stats that Justin found that we thought were really fascinating to me.
Really intriguing.
Yeah.
Republicans and Democrats, what are their sexual fantasies? How do they differ, and how are they the same?
Yeah. Turns out that they don't just disagree on politics according to this. They fantasize about different things
differently. Yeah, they actually do.
Yeah. So do you want to take over? What are Republicans?
I can go. And by the way, let's just preface, we're not bagging on or ragging on either one.
No, I think once they hear it, I think once you hear like what we're saying, you'll see like neither one of these are bad things. There's just a difference. It's a difference.
So I'm going to start with Republicans, but Dems, we're coming after you afterwards. So sit tight and, stop your judgy little ways. So because I know they're all about to be like, what are Republicans thinking?
Yeah. So what do Republicans think about?
Well, let's talk. It starts with they have generally the platform sits on a traditional view of what is acceptable, not acceptable. Sex is generally reserved for lifelong monogamy and procreation.
Mm-hmm.
So, and making a family. Also, it's not a pleasure, centered platform. Like it's like family and God first.
Okay.
So it would be, I know, making moves with my, I don't know. But they would not, or not necessarily expected to put pleasure before family and God.
Right.
So what did the stats say?
Mm-hmm.
Republicans are sexually fantasizing about what they can't have. So top things that they are fantasizing about: infidelity, threesomes, orgies, wife swapping.
Yeah. Key parties.
Key parties, yes. Just overwhelming majority of stepping outside of the marriage and family.
Yeah.
I imagine the pressure or that they may feel, or the duty to family when it comes to sexual fantasy time, it's like, I went out like a release kind of deal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What is your take on that?
On the Republicans?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I think that's very interesting. Like he talks about they report also more fantasies with voyeuristic themes, cuckolding, sex, like and I agree. Like I think that's interesting that it comes back to so much of what Republicans kind of put their platform on is the idea of the traditional family unit and traditional monogamy and relationships and sex and whatnot. So
Yeah, so it's just about wanting what you can't have. And again, these are sexual fantasies. It doesn't mean that they're actually leaving, although sometimes it does happen, as we know so publicly for some people.
Yeah.
But we're just talking fantasies.
Yeah. So Democrats.
Dems, we're coming for you next. I know people are like, what are Dems? Like, what are their, like, people are guessing right now. Like,
so I'm going to say what they fantasize about first, and then say how that holds into their platform. Okay. So Democrats were found to fantasize more about the spectrum of BDSM.
And I like that he specifically says in the book almost the entire spectrum of BDSM.
From bondage to spanking to dominance and submission play. So that is where he found Democrats differed from Republicans, is that they tend to fantasize more about BDSM. Do you remember why? Or are you gonna guess? Okay, so
I know why.
I was hoping you forgot.
I mean, please tell me.
Some miracle. I was hoping you would be able to take a guess. Okay, anyway,
but we both have to remember things in case the other forgets.
No, this is why I'm reading it right now, because I will forget, because we gotta remember a lot of things.
True. Yeah.
So why that is if you think about the Democratic Party, the political agenda is the view of inequality.
Yes.
And the range of social problems, right? So their party platform is wanting to level the playing field. So when you're looking at BDSM, there is often this power differential in BDSM. So that is where, it's, for example, where women and men might not appear to be on equal footing, and where the lines of sexual consent might not always be explicit, which is taboo in many Democratic circles.
Yeah, so, it is taboo for us to be sexist, racist, all the ableist, all the things.
Right.
Yeah. So it would make sense that in fantasy world, it's like, woo, there's a lot of time being spent about social inequality.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like letting the mind go, I don't care right now in this very specific moment.
Right now, I want you to pretend, he doesn't say specifically, but I would be curious, like, if that would include things like the rape fantasy.
Yeah, I think it did. Because in the book,
okay.
I think he goes into...
It's been a while since I read the book. I just read the
So he does really well with that. Like,
Yeah.
he walks the line for race play and rape fantasies really well, and discussing it, and not anything we're going to delve in today, but
right.
That he does really well on, and trying to explain, all of the things around it.
Yeah, I think I find that fascinating.
Yeah, basically the cornerstones of each ideology is turned into a taboo, turned into a sexual fantasy. Yeah.
So, and he kind of ties it in with their fantasies are at least partly driven by what they can't have.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and that's very typical. I think we brushed a little bit on that in the first segment about the idea of like fantasies are things that sometimes we can't have, or we're not supposed to act out on.
Yeah, and it's not like Dems want the world to be unequal, and it's not like pubs. I wish we called them pubs, by the way.
Right. What's a bar?
And it's not like pubs want families to break apart and everybody start banging. It's just it's the fantasy taboo part of it that is alluring. It's the allure.
Oh, I like that word.
Yeah.
Allure.
It's also the psychological phenomenon reactance of when our freedom is threatened, or we're told not to do something, we want to do that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
you know what I'm wondering?
What are you wondering?
If Dems are out there, so global warming and like littering's also a platform for Dems, right?
Yeah.
If they're like out driving in the middle of nowhere and there's a couple and they're like, we're gonna throw this trash out the window, and then they like start doing it. I don't know. Like, is that a sexual fantasy? Like, we're gonna litter the earth.
Oh,
this is taboo.
And then they're gonna pull over, have sex, and be like, "We're just kidding. We're just kidding."
Oh yeah, no, they would definitely get out and cry.
Just kidding, Mother Earth.
Mother Earth, I'm sorry. Yeah,
sorry.
They're like just trashing the place, and then like, we're gonna bang in this, and then we're gonna pick it up and recycle it.
Ew.
Like, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you might be putting thoughts into people's heads right now where they're like, you're such a bad boy. You're so naughty. Oh my God.
And then you're like spanking them with like a plastic you're supposed to recycle.
Bad boy. You threw a can out the window. Bad boy.
Take this to the recycling distribution center.
Please, somebody tell us you do this.
Oh my God. Like, if you do
Sex
this,
on the
you have
Edge
to
with
call
Jen
us
and Hin at gmail.com. Like, please, somebody tell us that this is a sexual fantasy of yours that y'all like to act out, is that you are bad because you have littered.
I mean, but we shouldn't litter. I'm just saying.
No. Like, but I mean, you could also turn it into a role play. Think about all the people that have the teacher-student fantasy. It's a common fantasy.
That's taboo. We can't do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, but it also leads into that idea of like somebody's a bad girl or bad boy. And spankings and handcuffs and.
Oh, yes. Also, before she gets too titillated herself, Dems were more likely to go into gender bending, but I don't think that's like any big
surprise.
Like, quelle surprise,
Yeah.
Like that one was a pretty like, oh, yeah.
Oh, I did think that it was interesting. Oh, we'll have to come back and talk about this, but there were certain people that both parties fantasized about. Do you remember? So the number one, at least in 2015, the number one person that both Republicans and Democrats fantasized about.
Don't say it, because I think I know what you're about to say. What do you say?
Sarah Palin.
Yes, like that was like mind-blowing.
And I just said, you'll get back over there. Bye, Russia. Oh, you.
That one was something. Like, that was whenever I was like, when was this done?
We just waved across and said, oh, you Russians, you stay over there. We don't want your kind.
Disassociating again.
Hey, earlier I did the Russian accent when we were off air. Anyway,
she did.
On that note,
it was delightful. It was a delightful Russian
you love
accent.
me. We'll be back shortly.
When people stop talking to each other, society is on the edge. Let's bring them back. Edge Radio, because truth still matters.
Welcome back to Sex on the Edge with Jen and Hen. We have been talking about fantasies and our book of the month, Tell Me What You Want by Justin Lehmiller. And what we left on last time is one of the things that he found was the difference in political parties and what they fantasize about or how they fantasize. And then we kind of ended it with the number one person that both Republicans and Democrats fantasized about, at least as of 2015.
In his research.
His research was Sarah Palin. And so we thought it might be kind of fun to talk about other people, other presidents, actually, that people fantasized about. So the top 5 hottest presidents that we've ever had. And tell us if you agree. Tell us what you think.
And it's on Ranker.com.
Ranker.com.
Yeah, we're just going to briefly go over it. Yeah. You can just discuss it at home. You know, you can be grossed out, or you can be like, ooh la la, let me go Google this president. You know, have your own sexual fantasy.
I mean, I think number one is pretty obvious. I think when most people think of like the best looking or hottest president, at least in, you know, obviously very few people are gonna be like, Abraham Lincoln. Yes, you're so honest, Abe. Oh, give it to me, baby. We don't really think about that, but the number one person that we might think about is JFK. Yeah, I mean, he landed Maryland. So, and his Jackie. Yeah, Jackie was a looker.
Yeah, she was.
I mean, so he's got the lookers and the hookers. Not saying Marilyn is a hooker, but I'm pretty sure he had some hookers too.
It's also the sexual fantasy of the bad boy.
Yeah,
and, you know,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. He was looked at as like a playboy. And, he had money.
He was.
Yeah, he was good looking.
He was very good looking.
Yeah.
Number
2 was Ronald Reagan.
You know, that kind of surprised me. I guess because I didn't realize that. I'd forgotten.
You forgot he was an actor?
I forgot that he was an actor before he became president. So it's not like Donald Trump's our first celebrity president.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but he was like years before, like decades before. Yeah,
there was a lot of space between.
Yeah, there's space between.
So, but you know, in Ranker, like they show some of the pictures of when they're younger, and
we'll try to get them up here so y'all can see.
Yeah. I can definitely see Ronald. He was a good looking kid.
Yeah. And then next, I gotta say, this photo particularly is a good looking photo that I never thought that I would ever say he was a good looking dude.
Yeah, you know, so I've met him. Really sweet guy.
Oh wait, we gotta tell people.
I'm aware.
Who he is.
Aware. Yeah. He's dead now. Really sweet guy. Really sweet guy in person. Yeah, it was very nice to meet him. So, George H.W. Bush. I would not have thought that one either.
No, but this is a very, you know, he's in his little like
flight aviator outfit.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah. Like, he was good.
There's a sexual fantasy. Like everybody loves the.
I mean, pilots, Mile High Club, or flight attendants, or all of the above.
I'm not answering that, but you can.
No, I didn't mean like for you specifically. I just meant.
But you can't trick me, because if I like think about it, then I'll like immediately.
Well, I mean, obviously, I just gave it away how into Abraham Lincoln I am. I mean, I've had a full-on Sally Field moment right here. Just kidding, I didn't.
Meg Ryan.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, why did I say Sally
God,
Field?
Could you imagine Sally Field making an organ?
Anyway. I just want to know why.
She's our mother, like Sally Field.
You know, when I put on this shirt today, it's just totally off whatever. I put on the shirt today, and as I was putting it on, I was like, my colors are blush and bashful. Pink is my signature color. And I wore pink because I wore pink last time,
I'm pretty sure I thought that whenever you wore it, because you're right. It is very
blushy.
Still Magnolias.
Anyway, number 3, George H.W. Bush. Number 4, this did not shock me.
I mean, no. Barack Obama.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know.
Yeah.
Like,
he's a...
We got to see him young, you know, so like he was more attractive to us, but
that's
like
true.
the other ones, we knew them as older.
Yeah.
So like we saw,
generation.
so we saw them older, but because I wasn't familiar with like the other photos.
Yeah.
And then 5th, the good, like never.
Oh my gosh, never in my wildest dreams would I have thought he was number 5. But George W. Bush, was number 5.
We're gonna get this photo up, hopefully,
and you will see it because he is a cutie.
I mean, he resembles people that I know and have known in the past. Like that was shocking for me.
Yeah. Interesting. You know what I was surprised about on Ranker? Bill Clinton was number 13.
I guess he's lost his... Okay, and anyway, 6 is Rutherford Hayes. How did that... Anyway, we can go down this rabbit hole.
We could really easily, but...
Who the
but it did shock me, though, because Bill Clinton, obviously, you know, we have the whole Monica Lewinsky thing, and he was very much fantasized about, I think, by a lot of women even then. Like,
it's like his stats went down.
Yeah. So it's
maybe it's because we could have him, and we were like, I don't want him anymore. You know, like it was like, if I just like walk up to him, you know,
you just have to blow in his ear, and he's like,
I mean, maybe
where's your blue dress, baby?
I mean, that's
the color I like.
Yeah. Man, but anyway, NT Way. Who else are we fantasizing about?
Well, I did want to hit this part too, because it did kind of relay in it. Going back to Republicans and Democrats, one of the other things that after Sarah Palin, Republicans fantasized more about John F. Kennedy, Bill Clinton.
Okay, so it is in this book.
It is in that book.
Okay.
And Nikki Haley. And then after Palin, Democrats fantasized more about Barack, Bill Clinton, and Hillary Clinton.
Okay.
She was attractive when she was younger, but I don't know. I struggle with that one.
I don't know. It's power suits and lesbians. I mean, lesbians might be jumping those stats.
Power suits and lesbians. I mean,
queer women love a good pantsuit.
Is it the power? Do you think like that was lesbians just took over?
I'm being sarcastic.
So, but do you think that it's the power suits?
But we do love power suits.
But do you think it's also power?
Queer women.
Do you think people are fantasize about people that are in positions of power?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it's common to fantasize about your boss, maybe too.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, like daddy's the biggest one, so
yeah.
You know, that's
daddy.
I mean,
I can't.
Yeah, we love power differentials. Apparently, the Dems love them more. But anyway, NT Way. What else? Are we
who else do we fantasize about?
So interesting enough, we'll go back to that 84 article. The most common fantasies that they found involved replacing your partner. Which I was like, damn.
Yeah,
messed up, man. But now what Justin Lay Miller found is our most common fantasy is about our current partner.
Yeah,
like 9 out of 10 have had sexual fantasies about their current partner, and then over 50%, a little over 50% is like a common occurrence sexual fantasy.
Yeah, I think that's what. Yeah, it's common. I think what he found was we tend to fantasize more about what we're going to do with them versus just them specifically. So whether that's introducing something like the idea of BDSM or a threesome or whatever the case may be, which does involve somebody else. But a lot of times, even when we fantasize about a threesome, it's often our partner is there with this. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to fantasize about 2 random people.
Yes, so you don't have to feel threatened. You're probably there. You're at least on shuffle with your partner, you know?
Now, that being said, it is also still common to fantasize about people that are not your partner. You fantasize more about your partner.
Yeah.
And again, so going back to kind of the dreams, right? So, and the difference between sex dreams, because I've had clients that have come in and be like, my partner yelled out somebody else's name while they were sleeping. And it's like, shh.
It's gonna be all right.
Hush now, baby, don't you cry. Yeah, that doesn't mean shit.
I mean, it's a dream.
It's a dream.
I mean, you can bang a lot of interesting people and things in your dreams. You know, it's like you have, it's flashing before my eyes. So I'm not.
Yes. But we do. I will say this: that sometimes we can fantasize about partners that we've been with in the past or exes, and that's. I mean, is that a fantasy or is that a memory? I think is a debate we had before we came on the show. We were talking about that. And remembering that you had good sexual moments with them, and that doesn't mean that you want to be with them again. It doesn't mean that you don't want to be with your partner, or that you don't even want to have sex with your partner.
Yes.
It's just a common part of, we have memories. So
yeah, and then sometimes he talks about it a little bit in the book, which, by the way, did you know men were most likely to, in their sexual fantasies, gay men and heterosexual men, queer men, whatever, to be young in their
that doesn't surprise
sexual fantasies, but not women
me at all,
which was interesting.
That is really interesting.
Yeah. But anyway, so part of it that they were talking about is like you're reliving your youth. You're reliving moments that have slipped away.
Yeah.
And like in your brain, you're kind of like finding a way to cope with that loss. So sometimes sexual fantasies can be that.
But I think that's also potentially related to, I know a lot of women that have come in, and when I ask them what they think about when they're masturbating, they actually are just focusing on the pleasure they're receiving. They're not, or that they're giving to themselves. They're not actually picturing anything, whereas statistically, a lot of men do tend to have like that visual in their head or on screen or whatever the case may be, and so that's a little bit of a breakdown there. So that doesn't surprise me that women wouldn't fantasize about themselves being younger as much.
Yeah.
Or even, I don't even know that they would fantasize about themselves whole. They might fantasize about sitting on someone's face and again thinking about the pleasure that they're receiving from that person's face. Maybe. I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe.
Anyway.
And on that note, it is time for our last break.
Already. Dang.
It goes by so fast.
It does.
So stay tuned. We'll see you guys on the flip side.
We work our whole lives to support our families. With one accident or illness, it can all be gone in an instant. Now there's a smart, affordable way to protect your family. Go to findhealthbenefits.com and discover low-cost life insurance for as little as $2 per month. Add to that a tax-deferred annuity that can help you protect your assets and grow your money for retirement. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. A critical illness can strike without warning and wipe out your life savings. In fact, it's the #1 reason for bankruptcy. Find Health Benefits offers an affordable solution. Get up to $50,000 if you get cancer, stroke, or a heart attack, giving you the peace of mind to focus on getting better while the plan helps you to pay your bills and medical expenses. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. 66% of seniors spend more time shopping for cable TV than Medicare plans. Most say because it's just too confusing. Laws change every year. The wrong plan could cost you thousands and prevent you from seeing the doctors you want. Introducing FindHealthBenefits.com. Save time, save money, see specialists without referrals. Go to FindHealthBenefits.com or call 877-235-6094 for this informative brochure.
Society is on the edge. Let's bring them back. Edge Radio, because truth still matters.
Hey, welcome back to Sex on the Edge with Jen and Hen. I'm Jennifer Reeves. This is Hendrik Scott.
I gotta stop dancing. I wiggle. Like, why do I wiggle? I don't know.
Because
I get all like, I get pumped, man.
I mean, because I like to believe it's because I serenade you between the breaks.
That is definitely not it.
Your voice is so beautiful. It just makes me want to move and dance. I was serenading you with Pink Floyd a second ago.
Yeah.
It's not a very big dancey song, but we did what it brought up.
It's dancey if you're on acid.
The line, "Hush now, baby, baby, don't you cry. Mama's gonna, scare all your get rid of all your nightmares for you," or something like that. So we were joking around about like how, if in this book, and we can't remember, they talk about moms and dads and that being a fantasy. Like,
man, you just took all the sexualness out of it. We're talking about daddy play.
Well, there's like, daddy dom,
moms
there's daddy
and mothers and fathers.
Well, I mean, if you listen to Freud,
my God,
there we have the Oedipus complex and the Electra complex. All of the boys want to kill their fathers and screw their mothers,
which has been debunked for those of you not in the know.
Yes, has been. And all of the girls want to screw their daddies. So when we talk about mommy-daddy sex, it's not usually that you want to have sex with your actual...
Actually, more often, way more often than not, we're talking about like a 0.1% who do.
Yeah. I mean, there are people that do. It has happened. I mean, there's...
But anyway, we don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, thank you. So, but that was interesting. Anyway, neither here nor there. We just thought it was fun to kind of talk about daddy sex, mommy sex.
Yeah.
I think that still kind of plays into like being spanked sometimes too in the BDSM aspect.
Yeah. Oh man, you know what else they mentioned? Extroverts and introverts. They did data on that, and the only thing that I remember was, and I was like, well, all right. It said extroverts, and this is a quote because it stuck with me. It was like, not only want to be the life of the party, but they want to be the life of the sex party. I was like, it's rude.
Somebody feels personally attacked.
So rude.
That's you, Justin Laymiller, but we love you. If you're watching, come be on our show. Anyway, to finish this hour out, we are going to introduce a new piece that we are calling Sex Position of the Week.
Woo!
So we might bring in some books and kind of do like a flip through, but I forgot the book. So instead, if you want to download this app, it's called Kama Sutra, actually. IKAMASUTRAM.
Yeah, I was like, spell that. Sounds like you said like yeah.
No, like I as an iPod, iTunes, Apple. I don't know if it would be the same thing on an Android. I have an Apple, whatever. So we're gonna shake this baby to get a position of the week. Shake it, shake for fun. Oh, balance. Oh yes. So basically, one partner. I know you can't. One partner is doing the splits. They're standing up, and one partner is doing the splits onto the other person. So one leg is on the ground, the other leg is up on the person's shoulders, and they're both standing up that way. I guess if you are in a good...
So what is it called again? So people can Google this?
Balance. It's just called balance. And it says, starting in the supported Congress position. That's funny. We're talking about politics today a little bit. And I will say this is more heterosexual based, but I think this could be anyone. So they describe it as the woman raises one leg and rests it on the man's shoulder. So while you're standing up, having sex standing up, you would have to be really flexible for this, and there would have to be a very small height differential, I think, for that one to work. But yeah, but that's the sex week.
And also,
sex position of the week.
No disability or like any,
right. Yeah,
that would be a hard one. Please try it.
Let us know how it goes
safely.
Don't send us videos.
No, I don't want to see.
Unless you're closed and you are flexible and you can actually put your leg up. But make sure you have clothes on. What did you say last time? No one wants to see your pee-pee.
No one wants to see it. But genuinely, I've never used the word pee-pee in my life, and all of a sudden I say it last week, and now...
I made a clip of it, y'all.
I'm getting ragged.
And it's just, no one wants to see your pee-pee.
Oh my God.
No one wants to see your pee-pee.
True.
No one wants to see your pee-pee. It's amazing.
I speak the truth.
Anywho. So, last minute. So, our final segment that we like to call Hendrix finds bad sex advice, and Jen has no idea what the hell she's going to bring to the table.
Yeah.
And
okay,
you get real life reactions.
This week's is questionable advice, where I had a questionable reaction.
Okay.
And then, if we can tie it into fantasy, let's go ahead and do it.
Word.
It's called grab and go.
When you say grab and go, you do know the first thing that came to my mind was grab her by the pussy.
I
right?
know, same.
Okay.
That's exactly what I just
and
thought.
I was like, no. I think we do
all of this consensually. Anyway, okay, if you're turned on at any inopportune time, act on your feelings. That sentence was not left on its own, thank God. Okay. Although it feels a little bit naughty, a quickie will help you stay faithful. People often have affairs solely for the illicit rush from doing something bad. Quickies allow you to experience all of the having an affair thrill with none of the cheating.
So what's the question in there?
It's just that it's questionable advice. Like, I get where this person's going. I
think they focused they could have just stopped at like, hey,
if
you're in the mood, have a quickie. I think, so.
And she's saying this is like to affair proof your partner. And I'm like, that's kind of a bold
And that's pretty
statement.
much saying, like, if you don't have sex, your partner's going to cheat on you. Like, and that is such a common misnomer, and people think that all the time, and it drives me bonkers. If they're not doing it with you, sweetheart, they're doing it with somebody else.
That's exactly how it said.
That's not true. That's a common myth. People actually, yes, while affairs are incredibly common, people are more faithful than we like to give them credit for.
Yeah.
But quickies are fantastic. I think quickies can be great.
The quickie thing is good advice.
Yeah, the quickie thing is good advice. And afternoon delights. Like, she didn't specifically talk about afternoon delights, or he or she, whoever wrote that. Feels like a woman wrote it.
Damn.
Yeah. But afternoon delights.
Hetero women should be offended everywhere.
No.
But also it was.
But yeah, afternoon delights I think are amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that they are. There is something that also feels a little bit naughty about having sex in the middle of the workday.
Yeah. Right.
Like, if your partner is able to meet up with you on their lunch break and have sex, or
see, now we're getting into
fantasies.
Like fantasies.
Oh, look at how I did that. Y'all, that wasn't rehearsed at all. That's so cool. Look at me. I'm a hair flipper. I'm going to flip my hair on that one.
Good. Me too.
I'm obviously the girly girl. Yeah. Fantasies, I think. Well, I mean, I think another common fantasy is having sex at work, right? So that plays into afternoon delights. Don't do it if you're going to get in trouble. Or get fired. Acting out on a sexual fantasy is not worth your job.
Yes.
Period.
Anyway, all right. How much time do we got?
We got like 1 minute left.
1 minute?
Is that 1 minute?
Oh.
Okay. Well, then on that note.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about how can people reach us. So we're Sex on the Edge with Jen and Hen. We are on Facebook and Instagram as Sex on the Edge, so find us there. Email us at sexontheedgewithjenandhen@gmail.com.
Yes, and go forth and talk with your partners about sexual fantasies. Now that you know you don't have to be afraid of them, they're just fantasies. We can talk about them, and if you can't talk about them with your partner, or if one of you gets defensive or shuts down, or you can't have a conversation, contact us and we will help.
We are at Houston Relationship Therapy, so www.houstonrelationshiptherapy.com. You can schedule appointment 1-800-913-9613. We would love to help you. And if there's anything else that you would like to, if there's ever anything you want to see on our show, if there's something that you have a question about, or you think that you would make amazing guests, I mean, don't get offended if we tell you no, but if you think that you would make amazing guests, email us.
I'll probably be the one telling you no, because,
I just want everybody on the show. I'm like, yes, come be on the show. But yeah, so if you want more information, if you want to see something on our show, email us at the Sex on the Edge with Jen and Hen @gmail.com. If you want to make an appointment,
comment on one of our things.
or comments on one of our things. Or, you can send us a message through social media as well. Anywho.
Man, it's great having y'all today.
Thanks for sticking with us. And we hope that you have lots of sexual fantasies about Barack Obama or Kennedy or the Bushes
George W.
or, or Biden. I don't know,
Happy humping.
Or Kamala Harris. I think that's gonna. I think we're gonna see that one up. Okay, I'm done.
It's done, y'all. Bye.
We'll see y'all next week. Bye.